just as a bit of background and context, so I'm the town centre manager here in Manurewa and Clendon, but started back in 2013 with the South Mall Shopping Centre, which is one of the oldest shopping centres here in New Zealand, actually. So I came in at a time when things were going downhill financially and in terms of the attractiveness of the shopping centre and eventually Manurewa, because South Mall and Manurewa are synonymous, and those that are local in the area, they mix the names up and they mean the same thing. So I came in at a time when things were downhill, and I came in as a change agent to lead change and to make things better, to make things more attractive, to make things safer, and to really find out, why people weren't coming and how to bring them back into the town centre and start spending time again. Not necessarily shopping, but just to come back in the centre, because ultimately you want people in your town centres. People drives vibrancy. Vibrancy then drives the businesses to be active, and then once shoppers and people come into your businesses, come into events, that's when things start moving, because it becomes a little bit more holistic. So we started looking at what the drivers of activating town centres were, and we came up with these items. So you've got to have your place attractive, you've got to have it safe, accessible, and connected. And these were the drivers that we looked at, and how we could set priorities and projects around those. So looking at attractiveness, we looked at things like getting your streetscapes, so your trees, your planting, your greenery, your paving, your planters, your benches, and things like that. There's a photo there on the right-hand side of a mural that just come up at South Mall, and that's done through Pascal at the Beautification Trust. So just acknowledging Pascal and Daniel for arranging that for us. So those are the things we're looking at in terms of how do you make the look and feel attractive in your town centres. The second one was the retail mix, because I mean in Manurewa we've had a fairly homogeneous retail mix, and that's not unique to us. There's a lot of suburbs in Auckland where we see multiple barbershops, for example, multiple laundromats, variety stores, $2 stores, and so on. So it's finding that right retail mix that services the needs and wants of our community. The next one is the food linkages. So we found that food was a real connector of people, and it doesn't matter where you are, you need to eat. And some of the things that were said before by the presenters before, fried chicken, that's a common theme, and South Auckland, definitely everybody knows it's in a lot of ways the home of fried chicken. So everybody loves it. And the other one was partnerships and creating memories and having fun. So I just picked up on those things. I just sort of reverberate those items as well. And the other one was the nighttime economy, and that sort of leads into the other driver, which was safety. And what we found was you've got this time at night where everything's closed down. Your mall's empty, it's not being used, your buildings are locked up, your spaces may not necessarily be used because there's a perception of safety that's negative, and people don't visit. And what happens then is, especially if there's, so I'll go into the safety one, perceptions of safety. If people find out or hear, because it's a perception of safety that triggers this, but perceived crime is the same as real crime in the hearts and minds of customers. So if they hear about something that happens in Manurewa, for example, they may not come, they might tell their whānau not to come, they'll tell their friends, and it spreads. But the same thing goes the other way for things that are attractive, for things that people like, for things that make people come back to want more. So those things are able to be transferable as well. So the safety side of things, I mean, I came in at a time where volume crime was high, and so there was a a real requirement for having patrols, having security presence, and improving those side of things. But what we found was we couldn't do it alone. And again, going back to the partnerships side of things, and then what was discussed with the previous presenters, we really needed those partnerships. And we've got a really good system here with the police partners group. And that's not only focused on Manurewa, but it's counties Manukau wide. So we're getting input and feedback from Wiri, from Manukau, from Otahu, because crime displaces, but as I said, you know, the good stuff also displaces. So it's finding the stuff that is attractive and getting that spread. But we have had, in terms of physical presence, it's the idea is to have an actual presence of staff and feet on the ground. That's the best thing that we've found. You've got other systems like CCTV and so on, but nothing really beats feet on the ground, because you're not only looking at security, but you're looking at liaison, and you're talking to people and connecting with them. And that's another key point that's come through from the other presenters. Accessibility. So, you know, the town centre needs to be accessible by all members of the community. So you're not only looking at certain demographics or age groups, you want to make it accessible for all people to be able to come easily and happily into your centres. Example here, there's a photo of the expo we had in Manurewa last week. So that was hosted inside Southmore, and actually the Pride Project was a host as well. So just acknowledging you, Das, on that. But you can see that photo there. There's lots of people there. It's busy. It ran from 10 o'clock to 2 p.m. And we had 50 stallholders inside the mall, all community stallholders featuring what they could offer our local community. And then the other driver here is connectivity. So your modes of transport is not only looking at bus and train. And when we think of transport, we generally think of bus and train. And in Manurewa, we've got a fantastic hub here for the bus and the train. And it's actually the 4th busiest train station on the network. So it's a very busy area, but you've got to look at other modes of transport as well. So, you know, how much pedestrianisation have you got, how safe it is, your cycleways, your micro-mobility options like scooters, and other things that get people from A to B. We've got, just an example there, we've got a free bus service in Manurewa, and there's a photo of the green bus over there with the free on the side. So that was an initiative that we took on back in 2017, was when it started, to have the ideas around it, because the buses on the main road were taken away by Auckland Transport to make changes and efficiencies in their transport routes. And we did some surveys around it, and we said, you know, who's affected? And at that time, it was mainly the elderly people of our community that were affected, because they will no longer be able to come into town easily. They had to walk a significant distance, and other factors like the safety, they didn't want to, there wasn't enough offering for retail. So all those other drivers impacted their decision not to come into town. So they start looking for alternatives. So at the end of the day, you need to meet those needs and wants. And we developed a bus route and service a lot of Manurewa and Clendon, and focused mainly around the rest homes initially when we launched the service in 2019. Now we're actually focusing on those rest homes, but with the linkages to the shopping areas. So not only the Clendon shopping centre, but the Manurewa and Southmore shopping centres, and all the little groups of 3s and 6s and shops and arcades and strip retail as well, to try and get through and connect people. And then just talking about delivery. So again, the partnership side of things. So we have a leadership framework here, and we've partnered with the local board and several stakeholders around Manurewa. We've got a town centre steering group, and that's focused on a 10-year revitalisation of the Manurewa town centre. That started back in 2013, so we're getting up to that 10 years. But in that period, we've grown through to Te Mahia station on the south side, and on the west, we've grown through to Clendon, and it keeps growing, and the group keeps growing, and we represent the town centre and the business association on that group, but there's several stakeholders, including Auckland Council, Auckland Transport, arts, and other stakeholders around that table. And it's also talking about delivery in terms of, how do we get the word out? My approach here with the Business Association has always been a multi-channel approach. In fact, today there's a hui on the census that's at the same time as this meeting, but and they're looking for different ways of getting more engagement, but getting it multi-channel across all platforms is really a key. And so we're trying to do several ways of getting information out there, whether it's online, whether it's on paper, face-to-face engagement, and so on. So we've got newsletters, coffee meets, we have safety events, shop and win promotions, digital platforms, and obviously our website. So there was a COVID side of this presentation as well, and really after the 2020 lockdowns, there was a huge surge to buy local again in town centres, and we really recognise that. And there's a photo of you there, Das, but we had we got a vehicle to do a lot of our promotions and meeting people when we expanded the association from Manurewa through to Clendon. But the day before we got the vehicle, or the day after we got the vehicle, sorry, we went into lockdown in 2021, and we couldn't do our intended purpose of promoting and visiting businesses after the expansion of the association. So we partnered with the Pride Project, and we helped deliver care packs to a lot of our community. We also started visiting and cold calling a lot of the businesses to see how they were doing, how their families were, and so on. So sort of repurposing that vehicle for the purpose at that time. Just some examples and photos here. We've got a Coffee with a Cop event that happens every month. That's a real engaging sort of thing, and it sort of breaks the barrier and breaks the ice with getting to know your local police officers, because with retailers and businesses, there is that gap, and people have this perception that okay, the police aren't going to do anything, and what's going to happen now, and so on. So we won't bother reporting, and so on. So events like this not only activate the area, but it sort of gives that personal connection with who's actually involved in helping. We do a free coffee with cake in Clendon, and that's every month on the last Thursday of each month. And that's really just an informal event. When we first got into the Clendon area, there was a lot of relationship building to do. So we started this, and it just really connects people. It's informal. There's no real agenda. You just come in. It goes from 10 o'clock to 12 p.m. And the most common comment is, you don't get many things for free these days. So that's another one that's a no cost for entry. Some photos there of some of our safer plates. So we run these quarterly with Plunket, and we just recently got a grant fund for 100 baby seats as well through the Witty and Trillion Trusts, and there'll be another event coming soon for that. So we do partner with Plunket and Auckland Transport, the police, and we do a number of things on those days where we have some free kai. We change the screws on license plates to make them anti-tamper, and partner with Smoke Free as well, and Plunket to change seats, or if people haven't got seats, then those seats are free for the community. Another project that's really taken off here is in Clendon. You see the photo of some happy kids there. There's a project called Kai for Kids. And what we found was with the lockdowns, especially, a lot of the stats that were coming through were that the kids were, or home was not a safe place to go to, first of all. and secondly, they were sort of getting into the wrong company. And when school did start again, there was this gap between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. where a lot of activity or undesirable sort of activity were taking place, and not necessarily bad kids or anything like that, but sometimes people just get into the wrong company. So we started a program with support from the local board and the Clendon Community Group, and the library steer that. And so far we've fed 1,200 children in 14 weeks, every day after school between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. So real happy faces over there. We've started a container coffee and food truck sort of marquee style of thing. So Maggie, I'll be in touch with you about that. But there's a seafood ball up that's happening every Wednesday. Today, she's out there today. So Cheyenne, she's outside South Mall on the grass area opposite New World, and she's really taken off. So she's signed up as a permanent on a ground lease with us as well. Just some events, photos of events and things. Revitalise Vibes is another one we partner with the Pride Project on, and really just again reiterating the strength of partnerships, because again we can't do these things on our own. So we partner with those stakeholders around town and help them support their kaupapa as well. Getting up to Christmas, we didn't have a parade last year, so we're all gearing up. Everything's locked in. Registrations are open, so if anybody's interested in the Manurewa Santa Parade, that's all online to get registered as well. Just some more photos there, and just the last one here was a new project that we just started to celebrate, especially after COVID, a lot of our local and small mum and dad businesses that have been in town for a number of years, and to recognize and celebrate them, because what we found with the first lockdown in 2020 was there was a lot of focus on the community and taking care of one another, but in 2021 we changed the focus to the local businesses, because small mum and dad businesses, we call them businesses, but at the end of the day they're just community like you and me. So we started a project called Retailers of Rewa, and we do an interview and put it up on a website as a video on key performers and long-standing performers in town. The photo there is of Evelina of Clendon, and when we got to interview her, we were sort of finding out more about not just the business, but how who the family are and how she started, and her story started with all the recipes that she has are all homemade and passed down from her grandmother. So, and those are the things that we want to celebrate and feature. Talking about digital platforms, these are touchscreen kiosks that we've got in town. So again, multi-platform to get information across, and we've got a job platform as well, an online job platform on Facebook. So we've got a page where we advertise Manurewa specific jobs, and now we're spreading a little bit more to other South Auckland centres. Up and coming, Darcel's also on this committee, but our Popo is due to open soon, but that's a fashion photography and co-working space that we've partnered. The Business Association is leading the project management on this. And it'll provide a new business that is an enterprise project, but it's got a community benefit where we'll have professionals hire studio spaces, but all profits and all proceeds go back into the community for low cost or no cost classes and workshops for students. That's Community Expo, some more photos there. And Christmas coming up. Rugby World Cup's on at the moment. These are just murals that we've got around town and in the mall to beautify. And just this last slide here was just a photo of a concert that we have inside the mall, and just to show that the main thing again is people, and people bring the vibrancy. If you don't have the people in the first place, then it's very hard to do your initiatives. So you've got to get the people in, and then it rolls from there.